Shadows of Blackwood Manor. The sun hung low on the horizon as Jonathan Blackwood drove down the winding road leading to his family's ancestral home. Blackwood Manor stood tall and imposing, its dark stone facade looming over the surrounding countryside like a silent sentinel. Jonathan's heart raced with anticipation as he approached the wrought iron gates, the crunch of gravel beneath his tires echoing in the stillness of the evening. For years, Blackwood Manor had been abandoned, shrouded in mystery and whispers of tragedy. But now, at the behest of his late grandfather's will, Jonathan had been summoned to reclaim his birthright. Despite the warnings of friends and family, he was determined to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its walls. The mansion greeted him with an eerie silence as he stepped out of his car and made his way up the stone steps to the grand entrance. The heavy oak door creaked open on rusty hinges, revealing a cavernous foyer bathed in the fading light of dusk. Dust motes danced in the air, swirling around Jonathan like specters of the past. As he explored the labyrinthine halls of the mansion, Jonathan couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows seemed to dart just out of sight, and strange whispers echoed through the empty corridors. But he brushed off his unease, chalking it up to his overactive imagination. It wasn't until he reached the master bedroom that he felt a chill creep down his spine. The room was frozen in time, its furnishings draped in cobwebs and decay. But it was the portrait hanging above the fireplace that drew his attention, a striking likeness of a woman with dark eyes that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Ignoring the sense of foreboding that gnawed at his insides, Jonathan settled in for the night, determined to uncover the truth behind his family's dark legacy. But as the hours ticked by and the darkness deepened, strange things began to happen. Whispers grew louder, shadows grew longer, and Jonathan's rationality began to fray at the edges. Was it the house playing tricks on him, or was there something more sinister at work? As the clock struck midnight, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, sending Jonathan scrambling from his bed in terror. He raced through the halls, his heart pounding in his chest, searching desperately for the source of the sound. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the scream ceased, leaving Jonathan standing alone in the darkness, his mind reeling with fear and uncertainty. Little did he know, this was only the beginning of the horrors that awaited him within the walls of Blackwood Manor. The night wore on, its oppressive weight pressing down on Jonathan like a suffocating blanket. With each passing moment, the sense of dread that had gripped him since his arrival at Blackwood Manor only intensified, gnawing at his sanity like a ravenous beast. Haunted by the memory of the scream that had shattered the silence, Jonathan found himself unable to rest. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind, sent shivers down his spine, as if the very walls of the mansion were closing in around him. Determined to uncover the truth behind the mysterious happenings, Jonathan delved deeper into the secrets of Blackwood Manor. He combed through dusty archives and decaying journals, piecing together fragments of the past in a desperate bid to make sense of the present. But the more he learned, the more he realized that some truths were better left buried. Dark tales of madness and murder lurked within the pages of history, painting a picture of a family consumed by their own demons. As Jonathan delved deeper into the shadows of the past, he began to unravel the tangled web of secrets that had ensnared his ancestors. He learned of a curse that had plagued the Blackwood line for generations, a curse born of greed and betrayal, that had left a trail of death and destruction in its wake. But even as he uncovered the truth, Jonathan found himself ensnared in the same malevolent force that had claimed his forebears. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, whispering dark promises of power and immortality. And in the depths of the night, he could hear the echo of distant screams, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked within the walls of Blackwood Manor. Haunted by the ghosts of the past, Jonathan struggled to maintain his grip on reality. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking threat, every sound a harbinger of doom. And as the darkness closed in around him, he realized that he was no longer alone in the house. figures moved in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. They whispered his name, their voices like knives in the darkness, driving him to the brink of madness. And in the depths of his terror, Jonathan knew that he had unleashed something far more sinister than he could ever have imagined. As the night stretched on into eternity, Jonathan found himself trapped in a waking nightmare from which there was no escape. And as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, he knew that he would never leave Blackwood Manor alive. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, casting long shadows across the grand halls of Blackwood Manor, Jonathan knew that his time was running out. The forces that had haunted him throughout the night grew stronger with each passing moment, their malevolent presence suffocating him like a vice, with a heart heavy with fear and determination. Jonathan set out to confront the darkness that lurked within the heart of the mansion. Armed with nothing but his wits and a flickering lantern, he navigated the twisting corridors and hidden passageways, his pulse quickening with each step he took. As he descended into the bowels of the house, Jonathan felt the air grow thick with the stench of decay and despair. Shadows danced on the walls, twisting and writhing like tortured souls trapped in eternal torment. But he pressed on, driven by a desperate need to break free from the grip of the curse that held him captive. At last, he reached the heart of the mansion, a forgotten chamber hidden deep beneath the earth, where the darkness seemed to pulse with a life of its own. In the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in shadow, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. With a voice like thunder, the figure spoke, its words echoing through the cavernous chamber like a death knell. It revealed itself to be the source of the curse that had plagued the Blackwood line for generations, a malevolent entity born of hatred and despair. But Jonathan refused to bow to the darkness that threatened to consume him. With a steely resolve, he confronted the creature, wielding the light of his lantern like a weapon against the encroaching shadows. In a blinding flash of light, the creature recoiled, its form twisting and writhing in agony. With a final scream of rage and defiance, it vanished into the darkness, leaving Jonathan alone in the chamber, victorious but shaken. As he emerged from the depths of Blackwood Manor, the first rays of dawn kissed his skin, banishing the shadows that had haunted him throughout the night. With a heavy heart, he turned his back on the cursed mansion, vowing never to return. But even as he left Blackwood Manor behind, Jonathan knew that the darkness would always linger in the corners of his mind, a chilling reminder of the horrors he had faced and the price he had paid for his family's legacy. And so, as he drove away from the imposing gates of the mansion, Jonathan Blackwood carried with him the scars of his ordeal, knowing that some secrets were better left buried, and some curses better left unbroken.